Good morning dear students. I hope everybody is safe in your home. Today we will be learning the third chapter of English for class 5, A Country Childhood. This is a lesson which tells us about a famous leader, Nelson Mandela. He was a famous leader who fought against the discrimination of color in Africa. There was a lot of struggle in Africa. People were treated very badly because of their tone. They were treated very badly and they were completely avoided. There was a lot of discrimination happening in Africa. He was the first person who stood for them and fought against this and became the first president, colored president of the nation. Now we will be learning about the childhood. How was he brought up in his village and what made him to become a leader. So let us now learn about the biography of Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela was born in a very small village in Kuno in Africa. His mother was managing 3 huts in Kuno. Long back it was a culture followed in Africa where the children of uncle and aunt was treated as brothers and sisters. They were not treated as relatives or cousins. Instead they were treated as brothers and sisters. Here the hut was completely filled with children and there were too many kids at home. As there were too many people in the house, Nelson Mandela's mother used to cook a very large quantity of food every day. It was not possible to cook inside the house because they had a very small hut to stay in. But instead what she did, she brought all the things which was kept outside of the house. In between all the 3 huts, she used to keep a 3-legged iron stove and she used to prepare a lot of food for that. Every day people used to sit, that is all their relatives, all their uncle, aunt, all the kids together sit and they have their food together. And it was also noticed that the house, one hut was utilized for kitchen purpose, one hut was utilized for storing and one hut was used for sleeping purpose, for resting. So it was such a huge family and they had a very small place to live in. All the people used to live in the same house, in that same hut, and they did not have much furniture to sleep in. So they used to sleep on the mat on the floor and take rest. This is how he led his life during his childhood. As he grew up, he started to learn grazing cattle. He used to go every day to the fields with lot of cattle and he used to graze them. Not only that, he also learned how to collect wild honey. That is, he used to visit the forest and collect honey from there. Not only honey, he used to bring fruits and also roots. They used to have lot of roots. As we consume lot of food items, we eat like carrots, radish and many vegetables and fruits. Similarly, they used to collect lots of food because they had a very big family to manage. So this is how he started to learn slowly things from other people. Apart from collecting honey, fruits, roots, he also learned how to swim in the clean water, which was taught by his brothers. He learned about it and he started to learn how to catch fish from the water. They had a very strong thread which was tied to a wire and every day they go for swimming. This is how he started to learn. He loved nature and nature became a big playground for them. Every day this was a routine work of all these boys. They used to go to field with their cattle and they started to have lots and lots of fun by playing, fighting with each other, and end of the day they used to share all the things with one another, with whoever they have fought. All these boys started to consider nature as their playground and they did a very interesting thing, that is, which we have never thought of doing it. That is, they had many flat stones or flat rocks which they sat on that and they started to slide down. It was so much of fun doing this. As child, it was very funful for them to play all this kind of games in their childhood. As he started to grow up, he came to know the difficulties which was faced by the people in his hometown or in Africa. So he started to concentrate more on this kind of problems. That is, he wanted to fight against the people who were discriminating the Africans for their tone or for their color. So he started to have lot of concentration towards this discrimination of color. And not only that, he was a very loving and caring person. He made friends wherever he went, whichever place he goes, he started to make friends because he was so affectionate, he was so loving and so caring for people. Here comes a two incident which was told by one of his people about his biography. Jesse Dutte, who was a one-time assistant for Nelson Mandela, relates an incident about him to us in this lesson. Nelson Mandela has a habit of making his own bed. Wherever he goes, how big or small the places, he makes his own bed. Once, when Nelson Mandela and his assistant visited China, she informed him not to make his own bed because it was against Chinese hospitality. But Nelson Mandela thought for a while and he said, "Can I just call the ladies who clean this room?" The assistant went and called the ladies. When the ladies came, Nelson Mandela himself informed, that is, he started explaining that he had a habit of making his own bed, and he said, "I doesn't want to hurt you or insult you. Kindly please excuse me for making my own bed." So this showed that Nelson Mandela was so kind-hearted, he didn't want to hurt or insult anybody's feeling. This is the incident which she happened to share with us in this biography. There is another incident which was shared by Richard Stengel, who worked with Nelson Mandela at the time of his autobiography. Once it was happened that they were travelling in a flight to a place in South Africa. As soon as Nelson Mandela and his crew member boarded their flight, Nelson Mandela collected some newspaper and he started to read. Once he finished his reading, he just looked from the window, he saw something. What was it? The propeller of the flight started working, and immediately he called Richard and he said, "Look what is happening here." And he was very calm throughout his trip. And he immediately said, "Richard, please kindly go and inform the pilot about the incident which is happening." Richard immediately rushed to the pilot cabinet and explained what was happening. By then, pilot would realize what exactly the issue was, and he said, "Sir, I request you to kindly go and take your seat. It is already being noticed by us, and definitely this issue will be solved. You need not have to worry or panic about the issue." Richard came back and informed Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela did not have any kind of expression. He did not show any expression in his face. He was silently sitting and watching what was happening. By then, it was informed to the airport. Ambulance and other measures were taken to rescue the flight. The flight landed safely and nothing had happened to any people. Once he came out from the airport, he said, Richard, I was so scared about today's incident." After listening to Nelson Mandela, Richard then realized this is what courage is. Courage is not about not being scared. Courage is terrified and not showing it out. Richard got courage looking at Mandela because he pretended not to be scared throughout his life. This is what made him a great man. Nelson Mandela was awarded Nobel Peace Prize Award in the year 1993, and he passed away in his hometown, Johannesburg, in the year 2013 December. This is all about the biography of Nelson Mandela. Thank you, students.